Have Attorney Thuraisingam, who's an SSDI attorney, to talk about a little bit of the SSDI fraud that she has seen over the years. So, Tanusha, in terms of, I've represented clients who've been charged with SSDI fraud. What are the steps that you kind of go through in terms of like preventing someone that maybe just be fraudulent filing a claim from happening?
So I'm very stringent in terms of my screening process for clients. I normally ask for medical records and a letter from their doctor detailing their limitations and why they can't work. So that's something that's very important to me. And before I take on a case, I need to see where the doctor stands, especially if it's a physical impairment. I normally ask for MRIs or EMGs to show the severity of their impairment.
So that makes a lot of sense. But what about when it's like a mental impairment that prevents them from working? How do you kind of verify those prior to filing a claim?
So those are all obviously very hard because they're subjective complaints. And again, it goes by what their therapist is saying. With these cases, a lot of times it's what they're projecting or telling their therapist or their psychiatrist and how they document it and how they perceive it. So I still have to go by what the doctors are saying.
So do you make sure that that diagnosis has happened for a certain period of time prior to filing a claim for them?
Yeah, so with disability, they have to be disabled for 12 months or expected to be disabled for 12 months. So I normally come into the picture around the fifth month or so, because at that point they know whether or not they're able to go to work, within the next 7 months or not.
I see. And just to kind of go off on this story that we were talking about earlier, what was going on with that situation where, they had the judge taking kickbacks and the whole SSDI fraud? Can you tell our audience a little bit about that crazy case?
So it was many years ago. I think it was around 2004. There was a judge who would refer clients to one specific attorney. And so then that way the attorney would be before this judge, the judge will grant it, and then the attorney would give him a percentage of whatever fee he got. So that was something that was going on for many years, and that came to light. And I'm assuming he's been disbarred now, but yeah, that was many years ago.
And I'm guessing the judge isn't a judge anymore?
Yep, probably not. I don't think so.
So did you know in terms of that case how it kind of came to light of day in terms of what they were doing?
Well, I know Social Security, like around the 2000s, they started being more stringent because they were seeing a lot of fraud happening where doctors were teaming up with attorneys, trying to give supportive opinions. So that way the client can get a supportive response and decision. So that's something that's been, Social Security has been changing their rules in terms of what type of weight they would even give to doctors' opinions now. So it used to be that they would have to give controlling weight, and now they took that away, and they're saying that they have to look at the whole picture, and there's no specific weight given to any opinion.
Oh, I see. So would sometimes they require like a second opinion from another doctor to kind of diagnose the problem?
So normally Social Security sends claimants to their own doctors who are supposed to be neutral parties. A lot of times these doctors only see them for 5 or 10 minutes, and they give their own opinion. And a lot of times it's not a very supportive opinion. Ooh. But most of the fair judges are aware of that. So there are judges who are, they're fair. They look at the whole picture. They look at what, their doctors say. They look at what the claimant's doctors say, and then try to give a fair opinion based on that.
So for people who aren't very aware of the SSDI process, so say if someone thinks that they're going to have a disability or currently have a disability, what's kind of the process for them to kind of go through, and when is it important for them to hire you?
So I can come into the picture at any point, from the initial application with regards to actually filling out the application for them all the way through the appeals council. So there's an initial application level that takes about 6 to 9 months right now. Due to COVID, everything is being delayed. So once a decision is made on that, if it's denied, then we appeal it and it goes to reconsideration. That also takes another now 3 to 6 months. Now, if that gets denied, then we request a hearing, and the hearing can usually be scheduled within 4 to 6 months. So you're looking at about a year and a half wait.
And then say if it was approved a year and a half later, they would essentially get back pay for the time. Like, when would they start getting the payments?
So for SSD, it goes back to your onset date. However, your application date is very important. So everything really revolves around your application date, and then as well as your onset date for SSD. For SSI, it's just based on your application date.
I see. And you mentioned a little bit about something about any future injuries that might occur that would prevent from working. What type of examples would those be?
I'm sorry, what do you mean by future
So you were saying
injuries?
like they're not currently disabled, but they think they will end up being in that situation shortly. What is that? What does that
Well,
entail?
no, so mostly, like, let's say if someone got injured in January. Okay, so right now would still be too soon to apply because we don't know how long this impairment is going to last. Because again, the number one criteria for Social Security is that the person has to be out of work for 12 months or expected to be out of work. So by the fifth month, let's say by May, they know if they're going to be able to work in any capacity for, the rest of the year. At that point, even doctors are kind of more cognizant or aware of their recovery process. Say someone had like a neck fusion in February. Normally they say about 6 to 8 months for recovery, but nobody knows. Everyone recovers at a different pace. So
Right.
later, so by May, if you had surgery in February, by May you kind of know that things are still really bad. You're still having the same amount of pain. There's no way you're going back to work by December. So then I would come in, I would do the application and start filling out the application for them and go through the process. However, people do need to be aware that if they go back to work as of the 14th month, they can still get back pay for that closed period that they were out. So it's not that they necessarily have to be out of work forever.
Right. So I guess like the last time that we talked about, you were saying how even in situations where people did have a serious injury or disability, and they're like, well, you can't do work in that area, but you can get a desk job. So it seems like they're becoming very stringent in terms of who they're giving these types of benefits to.
Well, yeah. So for disability, you have to be you have to be unable to do your past work. They look at the last 15 years of your job work history.
Oh, okay.
So they determine, can this person do any of their jobs? And if they can't, then they still have to take it a step further and figure out, well, can this person do any type of work? So at minimum, they're looking, can this person do a simple one-step sedentary job?
Got it. So we have your contact information here. What's the best way to contact you if anyone has any questions?
You can just call me on the phone or email me, whatever is easier.
And do you charge for any consultations?
No.
Well, fantastic. Well, I guess there's no reason not to call you to at least ask a couple questions. Thanks for coming on, and let's definitely have you back on again soon.
Well, thank you for having me.